Okay. All right. Everybody's had a couple of minutes to join, so I propose we now start the webinar. So thank you. Welcome and good afternoon, everybody, to the webinar. Appreciate your time this afternoon. During the webinar, we'll be providing an update on the Novel Foods Expert Network for Regulatory Challenges project, which from now on we'll refer to as NFX UK, which is a little less of a mouthful. So firstly, let me introduce myself. I'm Jane Staniforth, Head of Innovation and Research Collaboration at RSSL. And RSSL is delighted to be leading this initiative along with our partners, Imperial College London and the Supplant company. And whilst we're presenting the update, please feel free to post any questions you have in the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the presentation. And if we don't answer all the questions, we'll come back to you after the webinar. The chat box of the Teams call has been switched off for this webinar, so please just post any queries in this Q&A box. After today, we will be sending out a copy of the presentation along with a link to the recording of the webinar after the event, so that we'll have a copy of all the information shared, and we hope to get that out to you tomorrow. So now let's move on and let me introduce the team for today. So I'm joined today by Jean-Philippe Murphy, who's the newly appointed Regulation and Scale-Up Manager for the Bezos Centre at Imperial College London, as well as my colleague Sonalika Jain, who is the Research Partner at RSSL and is the NFX UK Project Lead. Today, the three of us will be presenting an update for you on behalf of the wider project team. And so for completeness, the rest of the team involved in the project from all of the three partners are detailed here on this slide. So you can see we have a great team involved in bringing NFX UK to life. So moving on, let's now look at the plan for today's webinar. And this slide covers the agenda. So the overall objective of the webinar today is to provide you with an update on the progress that the team have been making in the first 4 months of 2025 since the NFX UK project started. We will give you an overview of the various aspects the team are working on, and then provide information on how you could all get involved in NFX UK if you wanted to. There will then be time for questions at the end, so please do post any questions you have within the Q&A section. Okay, so now we've done all the logistics aspects. Let's get going on the bulk of the webinar. So firstly, let's just recap on the vision, mission and purpose of NFX UK, if this is the first time that you're hearing about the network. So a quick overview of the background to the project. RSSL with Imperial College London and the Supplant company has been awarded funding from Innovate UK, which is the UK's innovation agency. And the funding is to establish the UK's first novel food expert network for regulatory challenges in 2025. And we believe that this investment will help unlock collaboration opportunities to develop new tools and new approaches that best promote innovation and will help us all build a novel food community. It is anticipated that this network will complement the Food Standards Agency reform for regulated products, and so to help overall enhance innovation. So let's start with the overall purpose of NFX UK. So it's to use the Innovate UK funding to help build a dynamic novel foods community. So this will include supporting innovators to interpret regulations and specific regulatory needs, as well as collaborating to achieve industry best practice. And we see engaging with the regulators as another key part of this network. So working with the Food Standards Agency, we aim to build an effective two-way communication route between both parties. And one of the benefits of this will be to help regulators have visibility on emerging technologies, so they have assessors ready to review dossiers once submitted to hopefully speed up some aspects of the reviewing process. But then secondly, for the network to have an open route to the FSA to clarify queries, and work together to build regulations that are fit for the present and the future. So all of these activities will help position the UK as a leader in sustainable food production and innovation. As I've mentioned, the overall vision for NFX UK is to create a dynamic novel foods community, to nurture innovation by fostering collaboration across the novel food ecosystem, and to provide resources and expertise for bringing innovative products to market efficiently and responsibly. We plan to achieve this by fostering enhanced visibility of the novel foods regulatory process through knowledge access and exchange, and lastly, through collaborative engagement with regulators. So my colleagues will bring this mission to life in a little more throughout the rest of the webinar. And so I will now hand over to Sonanika to provide an update on the project progress so far.
Thank you, Jane. Hello, everyone. Great to see so many of you here. Now, I'm really excited to share something we've been developing in the background, something that represents not just what we do, but who we are. As a multi-partner organization, we needed a visual identity that reflects the richness and diversity of our network, as well as the purpose that ties us all together. And so today, we are pleased to reveal our very new branding for NFX UK. The core of the design is a hexagon of circles, symbolizing our role as a central hub, a place where learning, collaboration, and dialogue between innovators, experts, and regulators can take shape. The circles represent the various individuals and organizations that form the network. The varying line thickness of the circles represent the different degrees of knowledge and experience that we bring together, and the aspiration to grow this knowledge over time. It's approachable, it's dynamic, and has a nod to sustainability. And you'll soon see this brand across our various communication channels, website, and tools that we develop. So let me now take you through an overview of the NFX UK activities that the team has been working on over the last few months. Our work falls into 4 main areas, and I'll take you through each one of these in more detail shortly. To begin with, an overview. Firstly, as NFX UK is primarily a virtual network, we're developing a new website, a one-stop shop for all resources, updates, and community engagement. The first phase, our brochure-style website, will go live soon in the next month or so, where you'll be able to learn more about the network, the team behind it, our story and mission, as well as what's coming up. Secondly, we're building a knowledge hub, a bespoke and carefully curated collection of existing and new materials. This will be integrated into the website in our second phase, which we aim to roll out this summer and will continue to grow over the year. Thirdly, our ecosystem. Of course, this is at the heart of the network. Since the beginning, when the project idea was conceived, we've been actively engaging with the industry to listen, understand, and act on the challenges and needs that you've shared. Now, building on this, we are creating a dynamic and connected network where the novel foods community will be able to talk with each other and quickly access the required expertise to unlock progress on the regulatory journey. And finally, regulatory collaboration. As Jane already mentioned, maintaining an open and regular dialogue with the FSA, our Food Standards Agency, is key to ensuring our activities are aligned and mutually beneficial. So let's take a closer look at each one of these. Both myself and Jean-Philippe will take you through some of these key areas, and look out for the yellow stars next to some of the activities where you will be able to get involved with us on. Jean-Philippe will also summarize these at the end. So now that you've seen the new brand, I'm excited to share some snapshots of the website we're developing. What you are seeing here is, of course, still a work in progress, but we were excited to share some of this with you, and you'll be able to get a better idea of what the virtual home of the network is shaping up to look like. This is a place where all our various offerings will come together. So everything on here is being carefully curated. We have an expert team of website developers, marketing professionals, and technical specialists working together to bring this to life for you. The website is being designed not just to hold information, but to make it accessible, easy to search, navigate, and use effectively and efficiently. We will also have a mobile version so you can access it anywhere and at any time. We will also make it simple to join, which Jean-Philippe will talk you through in a bit. All you will need to do is, once it's live, sign up and join the community for free so that you can access the full offering on the website. Once you're in, you'll be able to explore all the resources there, and you'll find a mix of static resources along with more interactive elements. And of course, remember, this is just the beginning. As the community grows and the regulatory landscape progresses, the site, of course, will evolve with it, depending on what you as a community highlight as valuable. And of course, the continued research the team does in the background will help to keep it updated and fit for purpose. Our team will be working hard to finalize this initial phase, do a user acceptance testing so that we can get it live to use soon. Now, let me bring to life some of the key resources that we're building. Number one, our roadmap will be our flagship offering. It will break down the novel foods regulatory process that innovators need to follow into a series of fundamental steps, from understanding the landscape of food law and what novel foods are, to disentangling what's needed to build a dossier, all the way to post-submission and adoption. Along the way, we will also point out similarities and differences between the requirements for GB and EU. The purpose of the roadmap is to provide a snapshot of the entire journey and offer content for deeper dives into specific topics under each of the stages. The idea is that whether you're brand new to the world of novel foods or have a fair understanding of the process, you will be able to interact with the roadmap and navigate to what you need at the level that you need it. Of course, it's important to note that this will be complementary to and will not replace the guidance that is detailed on the regulators' websites. We'll be asking a select group from the community to help us review this, to make sure we've captured everything and that we haven't missed any key information or nuances, and to help us refine it ahead of the launch. Number two, our resources library. We're collating a comprehensive library of resources, which will be built in partnership between the NFX UK core team and experts, a living, evolving hub of information. We're exploring what's out there already, pulling together some of the best resources and developing resources for any gaps that we've identified. We will be building a collection that will include articles, webinars, reports, fact sheets, community insights, best practices, and more. We'll be reaching out to you in due course as well to help us build some case studies. Additionally, we hope to curate a set of resources that will be designed to be useful from different angles, whether you're a food business operator, a service provider, a regulator, or even a consumer or investor. These resources are here to bring novel foods and the regulatory process to life, not just in theory, but in practice. We're also curating a frequently asked questions section that will be categorized by carefully chosen topics and will be searchable so that you can find relevant and concise answers fast. And as more questions come in from the community, the team will analyze them and incorporate them as relevant so that the tool gets richer and more relevant over the year. And so over the next few months, we'll be inviting individuals to help contribute to resource building, reviewing the FAQs and providing insights. Now, let me hand over to my colleague, Jean-Philippe, to take you through the next set of activities around our ecosystem and regulatory engagement.
Thanks, Annalika. So if we move on to the next section. So one of the things we're developing is an expert directory. So as the name suggests, the expert directory is a list of, for example, regulatory consultants, experts, analytical service providers, academics, industry associations, different hubs, scale-up facilities, and food companies who work with novel foods. So yeah, if you're interested in that, please join the expert directory. There's going to be ways to filter through it to find the different organisations that you might be looking for. And if you think your organisation fits into the categories described, we'll be promoting this with our members, and we would love for you to join. Next section, please. And we're also developing a members forum. So this is similar to other online platforms where once you are a member, you can ask specific questions, share ideas, experiences, and discuss different topics and challenges. So this is also going to be, I think, a really valuable asset to members of the novel food community. Next slide. And this just broadly outlines what I've just been speaking about in terms of the broader ecosystem that we're looking to develop and plug into. Next slide, please, Luca. So we've been growing since we put together the bid. We've had 29 letters of support for NFX UK. And then since the project has started, we've had over 20 organisations engaged with us. There is over 100 individuals who've signed up for this webinar. And we're looking to continue this growth. So if you're interested in getting involved, please do reach out and do sign up after the call. Next slide, please. So a bit about the engagement we've had with the regulator, the Food Standards Agency. We've had many discussions with them, and they've confirmed they support NFX UK and they want to help it make it as successful as possible. We've identified our primary contacts within the FSA, particularly those who lead the novel foods team, and we've already organised quarterly meetings as well as ad hoc meetings moving forward. There's been many areas where we're looking to collaborate with the Food Standards Agency. We're going to be sharing more in due course, but just to say it's really exciting to be working with a regulator who is so forward-thinking and excited about some of the proposals that we've put together. And also we are also looking to engage with international regulators as well. Next slide, please. So yeah, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to get involved and next steps. So yes, these are some details. Again, touching back on some of what we've already spoken about, but you can join as an NFX member. So that's having access to our members forum, be it the Novel Food Roadmap or the Knowledge Hub, where you can find also, the experts, and you can contribute to the different parts of knowledge for the wider ecosystem. You can sign up to the expert directory, and again, that's for academics, regulatory consultants, experts, analytical service providers, scale-up facilities, food companies, etc. And also you can help us review and build some of the resources, for the Knowledge Hub, as mentioned. So yeah, if we go to the next slide, just to summarize this all. Post-webinar, we're going to be sending around a survey in a follow-up email where you can tell us how you'd like to get involved. And again, that's either becoming a member and signing up to the mailing list and being able to access all the resources we're going to be having on the website, or whether you want to sign up as an expert on the expert directory. And likewise, if you want to flag your interest in helping us build some of the resources for the Knowledge Hub. We're also going to have a feedback section in terms of what challenges you specifically want us to focus on, and we can take that into account as we plan the rest of the year. And finally, you can register your interest for our launch conference that's likely to be in June of this year. So yeah, all that to say, please promote NFX to your contacts and your network. And yeah, I'll be passing back to Jane for some Q&A. Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you both of you for hopefully setting the scene about NFX UK. And now what we'd like to do is to move on to some questions that some we'd had in advance and some that thank you you've posted. So keep posting as thoughts come to you. The first one is around, do we envisage that the novel food community and its related activities which have been developed as part of NFX UK, will continue to operate past the initial lifespan of the project? And I guess that also goes with another question we'd had a couple of days ago about what's the plans after the first year and how does it come self-supporting? So Sonanika, do you want to pick that one up?
Sure. Yeah, very, very good questions. When it comes to networks, that is always one of the main questions. You know, how impactful will the network be, and how do we hope to take it forward past the 1 year? Now, as Jane mentioned, the funding that we currently have is to cover 2025, but the team will be working on this over the course of the year. So we'll be assessing the impact of the network, the needs as they arise, and listen to feedback as well from our ecosystem. And we've also spoken with the FSA that we'll be devising some metrics together as well to assess the impact and whether it's working. What do we need to be doing to make it work better, depending on needs? And we will also look to incorporate EU legislations going forward, so it will take the scope further, but potentially, you know, we touch on that. I know there's some questions on that later. A key part of this particular phase of the project is to look at the network sustainability. So we have devised certain revenue streams for the network as we move on that will help us beyond 1 year. And potentially there'll be some funding calls. I know that that Innovate UK, the program lead and the program managers for the wider regulatory science innovation program, they are also looking at what the impact is going to be across the 11 different networks that have been funded. So in tandem with NFX UK activities and with Innovate UK, we will assess what the impact is and how we can take it forward. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Annika. One of the questions, another question, maybe John, you could take this one, is, well, one question we had before was around how does NFX UK link with all the other centres that have been announced recently, so NAPIC, Bezos, etc. But then also linking with that is, how does it link with the FSA sandbox, if at all? I think quick answer to that one is it doesn't, but go for it.
Thanks, Jane, and good question on the sandbox and the rest of the centres. Specifically on the sandbox, you're right, Jane, in that it's not directly linked. However, us at Imperial are one of the members of the sandbox, and there are many learnings there that are being specifically focused on a very niche sector of the market that I think are going to be relevant for NFX and the wider novel food community. More broadly, in terms of the differences between us and other centres, such as NAPIC, such as the Basel Centre for Sustainable Protein, these centres are research institutions and centres that are looking at sustainable protein, alternative protein, and NFX in particular is honing in on the regulation of novel foods. So that's a broad difference. But yeah, happy to answer more questions on that over in writing if need be. Thanks.
Okay, so then Sonanika, there's a question around, just find it now. So some of the content mentioned is already covered by other initiatives and other organisations such as GFI. So is this unique in that only UK-based experts would be mentioned?
Good question. So yes, we do have existing content, and similar to what I mentioned before, we are hoping to curate everything in a central platform so that all the best content is available to view under NFX, under the umbrella, so that it's fast and quick to access. We're essentially hoping to make a community of communities when it comes to novel foods in the UK. Now, when it comes to experts, that's a good question. As it is primarily a UK-based network, we want to make sure that the experts are able to do the work as required in the UK, as required for the dossiers. So we will evaluate experts outside the UK and the scope to include that over time, and we will take it away as a team to look into that. Primarily at the moment, we envisage it being relevant for UK-based experts. John and Jane, would you like to add anything else to that?
Yeah, just to say, I think on that, you know, if there are, be it EU or experts based outside of the UK that do dossier submissions, regulatory consultations, etc. for you know, for submissions in the UK, then I think we would consider those as part of the expert directory, for example. yeah, if they don't have that expertise, then we wouldn't. So I think that's something to point out. Yeah.
And then one of the questions is whether anyone will have access to the website around the world. And yes, and anybody can join. This isn't just for UK companies or people based in the UK. But then one query I've got is around would everyone be able to access all the website, or is there some sections restricted to members? So maybe Snalika, you could take that second part.
Good question. So as you mentioned in the presentation thus far, you will have the chance to sign up to the website. Now, this is going to be completely free, but that does mean that there will be a portal that you log into to unlock further resources. So you will be able to see a version of those resources, and to a degree, a certain amount of the content that is there on the website without signing up. But by signing up, you will then unlock the rest of it, and you will be then able to interact with the novel foods community. So yes, in short, everyone will be able to access the website and the content, but in order to access the full content, all you need to do is to sign up to the community.
And then I think I may have covered this in an early question, but let me just sense check. Are we going to collaborate with the EU one way or the other? Well, because it's an Innovate UK funded project, initially, year one, we're focusing on UK regs, but further down the line, if we can secure more funding, we would look at EU, US, FDA, etc. So as the network evolves, we hope to evolve where we're focusing as well from a novel food perspective.
Yeah, I'll just add a point onto that as well. So the initial focus is going to be, of course, collaborating with the FSA as well as Food Standards Scotland. But moving forward, we will of course also touch on a bit of the EU regulations, because currently the Northern Ireland regulations are sitting under the EU ones. So we will touch on these as we build the website. But whether we do a comprehensive amount of work on this, that we'll evaluate that for further years as the network progresses and evolves.
Okay, so then one question we've had, or a couple of questions which I'm going to merge together. So John, maybe this is for you. So will you be able to build and help submit my dossier to the FSA? But before that, will NFX UK offer a service to advise businesses whether an ingredient is considered novel or not?
Yeah, so I think firstly on that first one, we won't be able to directly support on building individual dossiers, but as part of the network, as part of the community, as part of the expert directory in particular, we will outline, people in the ecosystem who are able to do those services. I think it's a really good question on will there be kind of content or resources as part of NFX to direct organizations as to whether a certain product is or isn't a novel food. I think as part of the roadmap, outlining what kind of giving case studies or outlining how companies can go through the thought process and the logic of whether they ingredients or products are novel foods will definitely be a part of it. And there's a kind of level as to how much detail we can go into there, but I think we're definitely going to be making content around that, because I think that's been highlighted a few times as being particularly important to people in this space. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
I'm just going to jump in, if that's okay, just to add a little bit more color to that as well. Thanks, Jean-Philippe. So remember that the journey, although similar for novel foods, is quite different depending on what type of food or ingredient you're looking at. So this is where consulting an expert or an innovator who's been working in that field for a while in similar areas as well will be useful, and NFX UK is being designed to help you connect with those people. And once you sign up to the community, you'll also be able to use the members forum to delve more into specific topics or discussion threads on specific technologies or types of novel foods. That will be another support mechanism when you're trying to understand, is something novel or not novel, apart from resources that you will be able to interrogate yourselves.
Thank you both. I'm going to take the next one, which was around, would specific people from the FSA be working permanently and directly with NFX thus giving innovators direct access to FSA and a solid contact person. So we have identified a key point of contact for NFX with the FSA, and they will then call other colleagues in as relevant depending on the agenda item. In terms of giving the ecosystem direct access to the FSA through us, that hasn't been agreed as to whether that's going to be the way of working or whether we're going to be arranging group meetings where there's an opportunity to link in with the people. So I think it's unlikely that there's going to be a one-on-one meeting opportunity, but I think there will be group meeting opportunities if we're honest. But we need to see how this evolves, and we're at early days yet. Another question, will you also be actively advocating for novel food innovators to the FSA and other policy bodies, or solely focus on resources and network? If I understood that question correctly, I don't think we will be advocating any specific companies to the FSA or any other regulators. It'll be through the network.
And I'll add a bit onto that. I agree with what Jane has mentioned. We will, though, as part of some of the activities, be doing some horizon scanning, as well as understanding what technologies are nascent, early in their development and coming up, so that we can feed back collectively to the FSA and help them be more prepared when it comes to having assessors with the right expertise, or make just understanding how can they be positioned to bring on board some of these new novel foods and ideas and technologies. So that's the way we are hoping to work collectively with the FSA.
And in terms of how will we ensure the content is robust and accurate, well, that's where we're hoping to reach out to the wider industry to help us review the information, use the whole industry's knowledge to make sure it is robust and accurate, and also actually get the regulators to help support with that from their perspective too, so we cover both sides. Yeah. And then in terms of offering one-to-one consultations for innovators, I think initially it's a yes, reach out to the NFX UK core group, see how we can help, but then it could potentially be go through to the expert directory to find the more detailed support that you need. And if we can secure funding further down the line for more consultancy support, we will definitely be trying to look for that.
Maybe I'll just add a caveat to that as well. When we talk about the expert directory, the purpose of that is that we empower you as a network to be able to reach the right experts, but we will not be matchmaking you with experts. It will be there as a database and a tool for you to look at and reach out to the right person and right organization as you see fit.
And then there's a question about beyond the funding for this year, will innovators be expected to pay for your service, or will this remain free? At this point, it's not confirmed. Our wish is that it remains free, and we need to secure additional funding to help support that. However, if we organise, let's say, training courses or conferences, then they may be on a fee-paying basis. But at this point, it's still too early to confirm that for definite. So once we've got clarification and we have more plans, we'll share those with you. Question around clarify if experts based outside the UK may participate and to what extent?
Sure, I think this is similar to a previous question. I think that John Philippe will answer. Go for it.
Sure, happy to. So yeah, I think to clarify, experts based outside of the UK can participate, and we encourage them to, as long as they have either expertise or an interest in submitting a novel food product in the UK. So yeah, there's nothing stopping experts outside of the UK to participate, again, as long as they can, as long as they have those expertise within the UK regulatory system.
Yeah, and there's a question just literally been added about, can UK people join the community? Everybody can join the community wherever they are in the world. Right. So we've had a question about, will we be sharing who the members that signed up and details about them? and curious to see a breakdown against the different categories in terms of fermentation, cultivated meat, etc. So maybe that's one for you, Smelika, to take.
Sure, good question. A key part of the network is that we do provide some visibility of the community. So as long as you sign up to the network, once the website is live, you'll be able to sign up to the website, pull together your profile. And similarly, experts will be able to do that within the experts directory. So the aim is that members will be able to define how they want what their profile is. And we're also curating in the background a set of ways to categorize different foods, the different technologies, in a way that it's easy to understand what the other individual is doing or the organization is doing. So yes, in short, you will be able to see who is in the novel foods or the NFX UK community, as long as you're signed up to the network. The immediate, as the actual website, the phase one, once it's live, that is when you'll be able to sign up and get onto that portal. But we're hoping to make the actual portal live a few months down the line, roll that out, as it just takes a bit of making sure that the testing and everything in the background is working right, as we want to get it right for you.
And then there's a question being asked, which is an interesting one, about do we see the network playing a role reactively where a novel food has been inadvertently found to be used by the industry in terms of advising on risk? And I think the honest answer is, in terms of from the network, probably no. However, the expert directory could potentially be used as consultants to help with that risk assessment, providing the right data to, let's say, the regulators, if need be. So we don't see ourselves as reacting as a gatekeeper almost, but essentially as for information. And then another question around, are we looking at content intended for general public? So advocating diversity of food sources, so as potential outreach, or just intended to support companies and academics working in the space. And I think, to be honest, the funding we've got to date is very focused on the industry, so the academics, the support companies in this area. Potentially something could come further down the line around supporting with outreach for the general public, but I think that would be part of a separate project.
And it may be, I think I've mentioned that we do also want to try and give different perspectives to novel foods. So although it will not be a main part of the project for this year, it may be that we do some perspectives articles, for example, from the consumer side as an element to the network.
In terms of other than engagement, in terms of a measure, how are we going to showcase our impact of NFX UK? There's a number of areas, but one is around upskilling people around the process, and so people can try and get their dossiers in first time, as opposed to them being stopped and having to restart. We're currently collaborating with the FSA to determine some KPIs to measure the impact. And also there'll then be numbers of community members and other matrices as we go forward. So again, that we're working on that at this point, if I'm honest. Right, so then there is some logistics, which is great, which is going to come out in the follow-up email following the webinar, probably tomorrow. But I'm going to try and just get Sonalika to give you the update around what's going to be the process for signing up to the network, when can we start to sign up for the network, what's the timeline when the website will go live.
Yeah, I might just click back to one of the slides that will help you understand and visualize it. So the overview slide. So the website is being rolled out. We're working diligently to get it out to you ASAP. It's going to be rolled out in 2 phases. So we're hoping and aiming to get phase 1, which is going to be our brochure style website, where you'll be able to find out more about the network, similar to what we've talked about today, but a little bit more as well, know a bit more about the team. And the second phase is then going to be the interactive elements, as well as the bulk of the resources that we're building. Now, at the end of this webinar, once we actually send out the follow-up email, as both John, Philippe, and Jane had mentioned, that will have a series of call to actions for you. So you will be able to tick several boxes in there as to what area you'd like to specifically get involved in, so that we can then send you follow-up communications on those specific areas, and work with select groups. But also you'll have a tick box in there to subscribe to further news and updates for NFX UK in the meantime while we're building the first phase of the website. Once the first phase is live and rolled out, you will then be able to go on to create your profile and sign up formally on the website. But before that, we wanted to make sure that any communication is not missed out, and that if you do want to stay in the loop and help us on the journey as we get to the launch phase, that we have a way of communicating with you, which is why that tick box will be there. I hope that has answered the question.
Thank you. Yes. Well, so then one of the last questions is around, will services or experts on the network be vetted in any way, and how do you plan to weed out predatory service providers?
Yeah, I have to take this one, Jane.
Yeah.
Short answer is yes. So this will specifically apply in particular to the expert directory, and there will be a kind of sign up process for that, and we will have things in place to ensure that those services are vetted and understood to be relevant to the network. So yeah, that's what we're planning to do.
Brilliant, thank you. So then I'll take the next two. So one is around, from Natasha, will there be a graphic or content provided that they can use to promote NFX UK consistently? The answer will be yes. We'll prepare something. Now we've got the branding and that's hot off the press. We haven't had that very long at all. We will collate a one-page summary of what the network is about and get that through to you. And then another question is around, are there plans for any activities such as bringing members together to write policy papers or position papers on areas that members identify as challenging or where regulatory engagement is needed? The top level answer is yes. I think what we're planning to do is we're going to hopefully have a launch conference early summer, so hopefully June, and during that day somehow we will run an activity to identify, to get your thoughts and your ideas. And it may also be that we send some surveys out in advance as part of horizon scanning, with the plan that from that feedback we will identify challenging areas and then try and pull some working groups together to then feed through to the relevant regulators, etc.
Just to add on to that, I'd mentioned that we're going to send a follow-up email with some call to actions. There will be a chance, an opportunity for you to also propose some ideas like that in the form that we send out, so that we can catch on to those earlier. So yeah, feel free to do use that to share with us.
And don't feel you've got to wait for the form, even though it's going to come in the next day or so. Just email myself or Sunaika or Jean-Philippe. And so we're planning on the conference there would be an in-person conference in hopefully June. We're just trying to finalize the details at the moment, and as soon as we've got a date and location we'll let you know. But we're really keen to have that in person so that we can maximize the networking between the whole ecosystem there. Okay, so I think so the network is free. That was a question we'd had before.
I think there was also a previous question on, I think someone had asked, is they're developing a particular type of ingredient. Is that going to be relevant for the sector, for NFX? I think maybe just a quick one. NFX is going to be technology agnostic, so it means that if any of your food or your ingredient falls within the novel foods category, then you're in the right place. You will be able to access resources as well as the members forum to have specific conversations.
In terms of when will the launch conference be, and will it be during London Climate Week? We're exploring that at the moment, but we know there's lots of other events, so we also don't want to pick a week when everybody's at lots of other events and is unlikely to come to this event. Okay, I'm conscious We've gone through lots of questions, so really appreciate all the questions you've asked. This is your last chance to post a question if you want to post a question. Otherwise, I propose we close the webinar there, give you all 10 minutes back. Really appreciate your time today, giving us a chance to update you on NFX UK, the work we've done today and what we have planned for the next few months. But also great to hear all your questions that we can then feed into our planning for aspects that you as the industry would love us to consider for the future. As I mentioned, we'll be in touch with a follow-up email, hopefully tomorrow, if all things go to plan. And in that email, there'll be links to the survey and how to join up, etc., and how to get involved. So really appreciate your time and effort today. And thank you very much for your time and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thanks. Cheers.